My generation, Generation X, we got screwed over by the government, and I can't find a pen, so I can't write these thoughts down. But it's really horrible that we have Donald Trump running against Joe Biden. When I first really thought about it, I was blaming Generation X for this, but it's not really our fault. My generation was screwed with the drug war. There are millions of Gen Xers who are convicted felons. Now Trump's a felon. But unlike most ex-convicts I know, I'm an ex-convict. I was locked up at one time. I went to prison. And I believe the classification system of prison is really good. It like locks people up with people that are like them enough. Cause I wasn't around nobody. Most guys I talked to, it seemed like they was trying to learn from their crime and were repentant from it. Every now and then you run across a drug dealer type of cat that be talking like I can't wait to get out so I can sell drugs again. But most people in there for serious crimes, the felons, the violent offenders, the the murderers, they would never. Well, yeah, I met some that weren't regretful at all. You slip into a sickness. I could think of a couple right now, and I'm actually thinking of one dude. He felt very justified in the homicide he committed, which he wasn't. It was crazy. And I won't say his name, but I'll tell his story. And you won't know who he is because there's millions of dudes with similar cases. But he was a kid. He was a young kid. He was like a teenager in high school. And according to the story that was told to us, his story to his fellow inmates, he well, he had money. He come from money. Him and his mom had money. Him and his dad had money, but he was a mama's boy. He didn't see his dad much because his dad was making that money. And they was like on some baller shit. And they was white. Rich white, living in a rich white neighborhood. But his best friend wasn't rich. As far as I know, it was another white kid. Usually crimes like this are inside the race. Most of these crimes of passion are usually the same race if it's not domestic. And even then it's gonna be more than likely the same race. But over 90%. It might have changed, it's 2024, it might have changed now, but usually from me studying the stats, that's what it is. But anyway, back to this kid. He was still pretty young. But anyway, he was a teenager, high school best friend, stole his mom's wedding ring, and he knew it was him. So anyway, he took him out to the woods one day. And how can I tell this story? I got to get a little bit got to add the details he would add. So he brings his buddy out to the woods, and he's like, "Hey man, follow me, man. I want to show you something in the woods." And you got to think they're best friends. They play in those woods all the time. So he's like, "Come on, man. I want to show you something, man. I found behind the tree." So anyway, he lures his buddy out in the woods, and behind one of the trees is a shotgun. So he's like, "Yeah, it's right over here. Go behind the tree, pull off the shotgun, blow his head off. Search him, find the ring and everything, or whatever." He's convinced that his buddy took the ring. I don't know if he dug in his pocket, but the legend is, and the story goes, that he was considered 5150. They don't call it that here in Texas, but he was an MHMR inmate. They brutal here in Texas, yeah. They just straight up call it MHMR. You're an MHMR inmate, offender, and they would change that title sometime. But they make it as offensive as possible. They love to say offender and then they say your number. offender, blah 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 blah. Offender, what's your offender number? But they usually call you by your last name. Especially once you get to the prison that you're gonna do most of your time in, they are gonna probably call you Mister, your last name, especially if you carry yourself in a way that says respect me. You know, if you get if you get respect, you're probably gonna get respect from the inmates and the corrections officers, and you're gonna probably end up having to bump heads with both to get that respect, and it's brutal. Even the fights you win, you lose, man. You're gonna be licking wounds more than likely for weeks, maybe months, or maybe forever. They give you permanent stuff and permanent scars and bruises and other things. But you change forever. You go in one way, you come out another. Whatever you was doing out in the free world, you ain't gonna be doing it in there. Everything changes. Everything. It's a completely alien life and world. It's nothing like the free world. They try to make the little hamster cage as much as like a it's a concrete cage, man. That's all it is. It's a concrete and steel cage full of other human males, adult human males with attitudes. Everybody in here is a convicted felon. And they send you accordingly to your crimes. And I went in for robbery, so I went in, I was considered a violent offender. So I went to the violent offender prisons. Yeah, that's what happens. You go there with the murderers and the robbers, people that did and committed crime, the aggravated assaulters, if they got aggravated before they crime. And there was some aggravated drug dealers. There was some aggravated control, aggravated something. The drug dealers would catch some aggravated charges sometimes, and they would get even bigger numbers than robbers and killers sometimes. Especially them drug dealer inmates. They get classified and they send you to like a higher level, uh, a higher level facility, a higher custody level. They send you to a facility with violent offenders, and you don't have a violent offense. But they consider anything with a weapon as a violent offense in Texas. I'm sure that hasn't changed. I haven't caught no aggravated charge. I've been out of prison for over 16 years, I believe. But back to the point. So the dude, he blew off his head. And to the last day I talked to him, which was many years ago, 2000, almost 20 years ago. Jeez. Jeez, that was about 20 years ago. That's crazy. When you go to prison, you go for years usually. I end up going two times. The first time I was a short timer. I did like 8, 9 months. Got out as a young offender. Got out on parole. So I got to taste parole. And I was on parole for most of the sentence. I was on parole for 3 years. They arrested me 3 months before my finish date, and they took all my street time. Violated my parole on some bogus charges. And that's what happened to a lot of my generation. Bogus charges. That's why we have Trump and Biden. This crazy drug war. That's the reason that I got behind Ron Paul the way I did. And I was always thought I was meant to be a Republican. I'm very conservative. Love the Bible, man. I was given a Bible. I was born in Michael Reese Hospital in Chicago. I was given a Bible when I was born by one of the nurses that paid me a lot of attention. One of the nurses that took a liking to me. That's what happens in them baby wards. It's probably different these days. They got so many rules and regulations. But back in those days when I was a baby, the nurses would fall in love with the babies, especially the babies that were problematic like me. I was breech and C-section. I was trying to come out backwards, or I was not trying to come out. It was a rough one for my mom. But both of the parties, both of the political parties, really need to set an age limit. It's ridiculous. Both of these men are almost 80, man. One is 80 and one is about to be 80. It's crazy. And they're both not mentally competent. They're both insane. Well, Biden is slowing down. I think Biden is sane. He's getting older. He's lost a lot of pep in his step. He's getting older. He's getting old. I think he's the oldest president ever in history. Hey Siri, who's the oldest United States president ever? The oldest person to assume the presidency was Joe Biden, who took the presidential oath of office 61 days after turning 78. This is from Wikipedia. So people talk about Biden lost the debate. Not really. What'd you expect? The man is old and he trying to argue with Trump. Nobody can argue with Trump. And Trump got to save all that energy by skipping the Republican debates. He didn't have one Republican debate this year. None. He ducked them all. And Nikki Haley was going for him. She was calling him out. All of them was calling him out at one point. But he somehow skated with the nomination, not one debate. Kill him, man. His marketing team is phenomenal, the best ever. It's crazy. He marketed his way into the White House. Trump has no business in the White House, and I was very complicit with it. If you see any old videos on my YouTube channel, it was thanking Trump. I wasn't always happy with Trump, but the only time I would actually record myself and talk about him was when something really happened. And this is my message to the Republicans: wake up and smell the coffee, man. Don't let Trump win this, man. Don't let him ruin the Republican Party. He already did what he needed to do. I believe in God, and Trump did come from God, and he got that godly Supreme Court in there. They're not going to get that out. They could huff and puff, but that Trump Supreme Court will last for a long time. A long time. They got at least 20 years, man. They got at least 20 years. I mean, Clarence Thomas ain't going to be around forever, but he's pretty darn healthy. And Joe Biden is 80. Hey Siri, how old is Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas? Clarence Thomas is 76 years old. Damn. So nobody from our generation has really stepped up politically, but we haven't had a chance because the Democratic Party is shit. The Republican Party is shit. The Republican Party turned to shit in these last few years. I might vote for the brain worm. Just don't vote for Trump, man. Republicans and conservatives, don't vote for Trump and send it as a message, man. Like I say, don't vote for Trump. Vote for libertarian or whatever. If you're a Republican, do not vote for Trump. I've been making YouTube videos since 2006. When I mentioned I was in prison. When I was in prison, I was a conservative. Anybody locked up with me, if there's something they know about me, they call me old school up in there. And they call me the professor on the unit that I end up standing more. I used to walk around with this college textbook, reading it. I used to read books covers to cover now. That's one of the good things about prison. You get to study in a very unique way. You find a subject that you really want to get a hold of and you devour it in your way, on your time, at your pace, at your leisure. It's your only getaway, it's your only escape. And it's not just an escape, it's working out, but it's working out with your brain. Studying whatever. Theology was a big one especially down here in Texas. The Bible's big and it's good. It's the good book. And we shouldn't throw that out. And Trump, how dare that man sell those Trump Bibles? I haven't bought it, I haven't read it, I haven't seen one or touched one. But from what I hear, he added the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, but not fully. Let's ask Siri. Hey Siri, what is the Trump Bible? Okay, I found this on the web for what is the true Bible. Check it out. Hey Siri, what is the Trump Bible? Here's what I found. Most people haven't bought it, they're just writing about it. A lot of Christians are going to have the same reaction that I had. Not very pleased with that. This is from CNN. Former President Donald Trump is officially selling a patriotic copy of the Christian Bible themed to Lee Greenwood's famous song, God Bless the USA. Happy Holy Week, Trump announced on social media Tuesday. During the most solemn period of the Christian calendar, the last week of Lenten season marking the suffering and death of Jesus. As we lead into Good Friday and Easter, I encourage you to get a copy of the God Bless the USA Bible. And that's a marketing scheme too, probably launching it around Easter, man. The concept of a Bible covered in the American flag, as well as former president's endorsement of a text Christians consider to be sacred, has raised concerns among religious circles. Has also raised questions about Trump's motivation, as the former president finds himself in the middle of several expensive legal battles. Like, yeah, dude, why would you even do that? Why would you even do that, man? You going to court for paying a prostitute to sleep with her, and now you're gonna release a Bible? The utter, the utter, the utter brashness as Donald Trump. There were predictions, and people talk about how the media loved him. The media loved to make fun of him. Look at the stuff and things that people say. People talk about how the rap community loved him. Name the rapper that loved Trump. They mentioned Trump, but they didn't mention it. It was a very tongue in cheek way. It was like, I'm a rich white bastard taking advantage of the system. You know what I'm saying? I'm so rich, I can act like this bastard. This arrogant bastard. I got that kind of money. I got Trump money and Trump attitude. Fuck everybody. That's that's not good. That gangster rap promoted him and used him as like a meme. He was a meme in rap before we called it a meme. But that ain't good, man. Trump is going way too far, way too many times. Hasn't condemned the people of January 6th, calls them hostages. He calls them hostages for what they did. Some of them got arrested. None of them are getting lengthy sentences. Hey Siri, what are the January 6 convictions going to? How much time are they getting? Okay, I found this on the web for what are the January 6 convictions going to how much time are they getting? Check it out. Check out political. This is political. January 6 sentences are piling up. Here's a look at some of the longest heading down. More than 1,033 of the rioters have been arrested with approximately. Think about that. If 1,033 of them was arrested, how many of them was there that day? People try to downplay that. I can't believe conservatives downplay conservative people who call themselves conservative, even people who call themselves on the religious right, excuse Trump for the whole January 6th thing. Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, bro. How is that not a big deal? They rushed again. Black Lives Matter was bad, but they weren't assaulting cops like that. They weren't. That was and still the Capitol, the Capitol with Confederate flags in my capital, my country, born and raised here for generations. I am definitely a descendant of the slaves in America. Got all kind of roots and know all about them. My ancestors did fight for this country. I have an ancestor that was a chaplain in the United States Army, Hiram Revel Rhodes, in the Civil War, fought in the Civil War. Many ancestors fought in the Civil War on both sides, the European blood and the African blood, and the other blood, the other blood. I mixed with just about everything. A lot of things, probably half of the things in the world. They minimize January 6th. They minimize the damn Stormy Daniels things. Have a shit fit over Clinton having an affair with a coworker, somebody he sees every day. and minimizing this man soliciting a porn star while his wife is freaking pregnant. And he's like, what at the time? Like 50 or something? Hey Siri, how old was Donald Trump when he slept with Stormy Daniels? So in 2006, 20 years, I'm in prison. I was in prison back then in 2006. So it happened in 2006. So that was 18 years ago. So Donald Trump is 77. So he would have been 61 or something, or 59. Hey Siri, what's 77 minus 18? Yeah, I was right. It's always good to double check. So 59. He was 59 years old doing it. He was 59 years old. He went out of his way to solicit a porn star. From her testimony, she never liked Trump, didn't really want to be there, but was really coerced, and he really convinced her, and he really shelled out a lot. I'm over here mimicking him. I would never mimic that though, especially at 59. How do you do that and you're not a drug addict? That's crackhead shit. That's crackhead shit. I see this porn star. I see her sleep with other people in the movies. I gotta sleep with her too. It's a pig, and you gonna release a Bible while you on trial for this. Slimy. That's so slimy. That's so slimy. Slimy, grimy, and an insult, man. Of all people to release a Bible. Again, so yeah, man, I'll vote for the brainworm guy before I vote for Trump. And yeah, I got my voting rights back. I'm a Texan. We get our voting rights back. Ex convicts better not vote for Trump, man. I see all these black people, blacks for Trumps and all this, man. What is wrong with y'all, man? What the hell does he have to do and say? What the hell does the man have to do and say? He wants to execute drug dealers. And like I mentioned before, I don't have no felony drug convictions. I did have some marijuana convictions from when I spent my 18th birthday in jail for marijuana. Spent my 18th birthday. I got sentenced to jail. I got arrested when I was 17, got out on bail, thankfully, luckily. Got out on bail, went to court on my birthday, on my 18th birthday. Go to jail. I went straight to jail, boy. Went to jail on my 18th birthday for marijuana and other stuff, other misdemeanors, other 17-year-old stuff. But unfortunately, I was prepared. Fortunately and unfortunately, I grew up in an environment where my older friends, my big brother figures, they prepared me for prison. They really did, man. I was really young. Here's a story. I should tell this story in a different video. I will tell that story in a different video. Like, share, subscribe. It's the story of when the homies first started working on me to get me ready for prison. Who knew I was gonna grow up to be so tall and skinny? Record speak for itself, though. Oh, underestimate the skinny brother if you want to. And it happened. Gift and a curse, man. Greatest advantage. People didn't know what they was getting into. Beat your little skinny ass was his last words. Often. Last time you ever gonna say anything to me, man. especially sideways. The good old days. But I got it out of my system young. I really did. And I've never done that again, never been back to prison. Trump, on the other hand, won't even admit that he did anything wrong. Won't even admit that he did anything wrong. Did not sleep with that porn star. My nigga, there's such a paper trail. You just got convicted. Are you really trying to say that you didn't sleep with her after the trial, boy? I did not sleep with her. Are you out your mind? No, you think we out our mind. But MAGA's out of their mind. And I'm asking MAGA to wake up. Chill out with this. These little fantasies you have, you guys are crawling around under barbed wire in the back of the barnyard. Don't you ain't got nothing for the United States government. They don't even have to send an actual branch of the military for you guys. They send like the FBI, Customs, or something. The ATF. They ain't even got to send the Navy or the Marines or the Air Force or the Army. Stop crawling around the woods thinking you're going to change the American flag, the stars and stripes, to your stars and bars. It's not going to happen, man. Stop it. Stop it. Stop with this crazy cosplay. Well, people got hurt last time. Lots of people got hurt. Somebody died. At least, hey Siri. Yeah, people died. How many people died January 6th? Okay, I found this on the web for how many people died January 6th. Check it out. So this is factcheck.org. And they tweet. So this is from factcheck.org. How many died as a result of the Capitol riot? In a tweet on October 24th, Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. That's what it looked like. Cortez. Cortez. I gotta pronounce that a few times. That's a long name, boy. One of them hyphenated names. She must be one of them militant. I know who she is, I think. Yeah. Yeah, you got her and Ilhan Omar. The two radical ones, two fiery Middle Eastern women. One might be Indian, but I think they're both Middle Eastern. In a tweet on October 24th, that's a Hispanic name though. That's a very Hispanic name. Referred to the Capitol riot January 6th as a terror attack, which she said resulted in almost 10 dead. She called for any member of Congress who helped plot it to be expelled. True that, man. That's what happens when that shit go too far, man. That's a crime. What is wrong with people, man? Like I say, people tripping out on these teenagers running amok in the cities, which is over with now. And they arrested plenty of people. Plenty of people got long sentences for things they did because of the Black Lives Matter riots. Plenty of people got locked up, man. Plenty of people got time. Plenty of people in prison right now for something they did in the Black Lives Matter protest riot that got out of control. And the Capitol, man, that's the one thing we should be like. America has too many riots. It's like every so many years, some crazy stuff happens in America amongst the citizens clashing with each other over something crazy. But yeah, vote for me for president, man. Diego, yeah, Diego for president, man. I'm an American. I'm like you. I've been locked up before, and I learned from my lesson. I moved on. I'm like you. I drove trucks for many years, many jobs, many types of truck driving. I was a garbage man for a few years. I delivered cement in a pneumatic tanker for a few years. Did box truck, did flatbed, did all kind of straight trucks, moving vans. Ooh wee. And we call them vans, but they're trucks. Filling those things up. Lord have mercy, man. It's unbelievable that I'm still so small. All the work I've done. but I don't really have gym muscle. I go to the gym often, but I don't lift the weights. I don't even lift, bro, but I don't mind being streamlined like I am. So I did want to put that, like I said, couldn't find a pen that's in my memory. And that's something that needs to be talked about. Generation X, man. The Republican Party and the Democrat Party, they need to set some age limits. This can never happen again. Two almost 80-year-old men. Very unlikely to finish another term. Trump looks good. And Biden, he looks like we could squeeze another 4 years out of him. And the Democrats are crazy, man. Okay, so Joe Biden lost the debate the other day, which is hard to beat Trump in the debate. Nobody beats him in the debate. It'd have been easy this year if it was a formal debate and he had multiple debate opponents. But the fact of the matter is, he would have probably beat them too if he had 10 opponents. It's hard to beat Donald Trump in debate, argument, negotiation. He is a great negotiator, or he was. Trump done lost it, man. Trump been lost it, man. And I think people gonna start seeing it, man. His rally's been different lately. He tripping, man. It's like a pastor, you know what I'm saying? He like a pastor, but he's so done with it, man. He ain't got that same energy. He ain't charged up like he was, man. He like a pastor up there. Can't wait for the service to be over. Like, man, all right. Let's go watch some football, y'all. Yeah, man. Trump can't be president, man. The Supreme Court ruling don't help. Hey Siri, what's up with this immunity ruling? In a historic decision, okay, who is this from? This is from PBS.org. What does the Supreme Court immunity ruling mean for Trump? So this is the latest controversial ruling from the Supreme Court. 6 questions answered. In a historic decision, the Supreme Court, like the other one, I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs real quick. Quick. In a historic decision, the Supreme Court ruled Monday that former presidents have at least some immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts in office, no matter their politics, policy, or party, but stipulated that that protection doesn't cover everything. Reading the full Supreme Court decision on Trump and presidential immunity. I should do that in a video. The court's three liberal justices dissented. Monday's decision reshapes the institution of the president. That's crazy too, man. That's not constitutional in my opinion. That's outrageous to me. That's the whole point of the government being set up the way it's equal powers, three branches. That's crazy. Immunity? No, that's insane. I mean, how are they going to, man, this thing really needs some gore rails thrown in there. Complete presidential immunity. Again, you know, we got to protect our commander in chief from being prosecuted against something like a war crime. But this is really a lot of domestic policy implication here. This law is domestic. This is domestic law. So this is going to affect politics here. Anything like that happening on US soil. That really is setting the stage for some kind of weird regime So how can the Supreme Court be overruled or overturned? Because that's absolutely outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous, especially with some of the stuff that Trump talks. Let's keep talking about Trump and why he can't be president and why Republicans and conservatives need to turn away from him. So, first of all, subscribe to the Lincoln Project. You know, it's so funny. I've been a conservative my whole life. So I remember, and all I got to do is think and draw back in my memory and be like, how was Trump received by the Republican Party? How did most people act? Most of the people now sucking up to Trump, how were they acting? And now this weekend, it's crazy they ain't talking about the Epstein dump, but this weekend they talking about so much stuff politically. But the Trump campaign is dang, got lost in thought. The Trump campaign, just waking up. But it was important, like I say, this is going on to why Trump can't get elected. But oh, Project 2025. That's why I forgot about it. It's not something really I dug too deep into. I haven't read much on that. Haven't watched too many videos. Well, I've seen quite a few videos. They've been talking about this Project 2025 for a long time. But I might have mentioned it. I am conservative. So from what I see about it, it's not really anything that's going to upset conservatives too much. But again, all of this stuff is setting the stage for something big. Oh boy, that's good and cold. But yeah, man, it's up to Republicans to say the Republican Party. And that's real talk. Republicans got to make sure they don't vote for Donald Trump. They already messed up. They didn't vote in the primaries to get anybody besides Trump. Knowing Trump is facing the charges he's facing. And what are you going to say about Trump? He's not guilty of this stuff. He's not guilty of the cooking the books. That's what happened. That's what he got convicted of. People like, I don't know what he got convicted of. I've been a lawyer for 35 years and I couldn't tell you what Trump's convicted of. He cooked the books in New York City, the same place Lil Wayne went to prison for a year because he had a gun. New York is different, especially New York City. That's how they do, and that's how they've always done. They got Rikers Island. They're different up there. New York does that, and New York. It's amazing that New York hasn't locked Donald Trump up before. All the stuff he's gone to court for over the years, all the stuff he's got sued for over the years. Man, how many times? Hey Siri, how many times has Trump been sued? Okay, so this is from Wikipedia. Oh my goodness. I'm not finna read none of this. I might try to find. Oh my goodness. It's a lot, man. It is a lot. From 1970, I'll read the beginning of this Wikipedia article. So this Wikipedia article is and legal personal and business legal affairs of Donald Trump. From the 1970s until he was elected president in 2016, Donald Trump and his businesses were involved in over 4,000 legal cases in the United States federal and state courts, including battles with casino patrons, million-dollar real estate lawsuits, personal defamation suits, and over 100 business tax disputes. He has also been accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault, with one accusation result in him being held civilly liable. In 2015, Trump's lawyer Alan Garden called Trump's legal entanglements a natural part of doing business in the United States. While litigation is indeed common in the real estate industry, Trump has been involved in more legal cases than his fellow magnates. And then they go on to list a whole bunch of dudes that are similar to him. Edward D. Bartolo Jr., Donald Bren, Stephen M. Moss, Sam Zell, and Larry Silverman combined. So he has more lawsuits than all of them combined, according to this. Much of the lawsuits were filed against patrons with debt to his casinos. Of all cases that with a clear resolution, Trump was the victor in 92% of the time. Was the victor 92% of the time. Well, that's good in his favor, but that still sucks. 8% of 4,000 is a lot. Damn. Damn. 8% of 4,000? Jeez. Some of those cases, and we know what some of those cases got big payouts, big judgments. Numerous legal matters and investigations occurred during and after Trump's presidency. Ain't no point in getting into all that, but it's a lot. It's it's a lot. It's a lot. And then they got the tabs. Lawsuits involving government entities, and that's a long tab. Oh my goodness. I do want to read some of these. I wish they had them all listed like a little list. But 4,000, how could they? So yeah. So New York and yeah, New York pressed charges against them a whole bunch of times. In 1985, New York City brought a lawsuit against Trump for allegedly using tactics to force out tenants of 100 Central Park South, which he intended to demolish together with a building next door. After 10 years in courts, the two sides negotiated a deal allowing the building to stand as condominiums. In 2000, Trump paid $250,000 to settle fines related to charges brought by New York State Lobby Commission. Look, man, Trump had a good run, and I was a fan of Trump, especially early Trump. I liked the author, or at least the guy posing as the author. Trump, I liked his books. I liked his little seminars and speeches, stuff like that. I liked his output. I liked his infotainment stuff. I was young, but as I mentioned, I grew up fast, man. That's something I wanted to mention too. Where I'm from, people grow up real fast, and that hasn't changed. I was born in Chicago in the 70s, in the 1900s and 70s, and it was rougher before that. It was more gangster before that. The 80s and the 90s were the most violent years in Chicago's history. The 1990s and 1980s, the highest crime rate, the highest murder rate, the highest amount of murders. It was absolutely ridiculous. That was part of the crack cocaine explosion. And with Chicago being in its location and being what it is to America, such a hub, anything affects Chicago, it's going to affect the rest of the country. It's going to trickle outwards, you know. And the Midwest in general, the Midwest has been dying. People have been fleeing the Midwest. But 70s and 80s was rough, the crack era. Thousands of murders a year. Now, the murder rate was very similar if you go way back because every previous generation of Chicago was rougher. And then a lot of stuff that people are saying are new, they wasn't new to us. I experienced a lot of this stuff that people claim is new. There were gay neighborhoods in Chicago. I think I'm for a long time, longer than I've been around, longer than I've been on Earth, and they've been around here in Texas too. Like people talk about how much Austin changed. Austin ain't changed. Some of the local celebrities have died, like Leslie. First time I ever went to Austin was back in the early '90s, and I don't know if I saw Leslie the first time I came to Austin or like the second time or something like that. But we were living in San Antonio. We would take trips to Austin and saw Leslie. Leslie was a strange man. He was a unique man. He was an eccentric man. And the first time I saw him, it was some of my friends who was like, "Man, you would like Austin. Let us take you to Austin." So of course they take me to Sixth Street and that area, that whole little thing that happens. And so we go down there and we was walking. We was on Sixth Street. I'm pretty sure we was on Sixth Street when I first saw him. And I look over, man, and it was a bunch of girls surrounding this dude. He was on rollerblades. He had on this really weird leotard get up, and it was very feminine, the leotard part. And on the top, he had it straight up. Everything was, he was pretty much dressed like a woman, and he had long hair. And these girls was lining up to take pictures with him. Leslie, let's take pictures with Leslie. Can we take a picture with you? He was some kind of local celebrity, very eccentric dude. I'm sure there's a Wikipedia page for him or her. And that was a long time ago, and I didn't really see or talk to Leslie. I talked to him a few times, because I met him a few times. Back in those days, he was just always hanging out downtown. And he was hanging out at like the party spots. And me as a high schooler, there were certain areas that kids would like hang out and smoke cigarettes and other stuff, you know, and those are the places that we lingered and you would catch him there. Not off that was I think the first time I saw him he was on the rollerblades. I don't think I ever saw no, I saw him on rollerblades after that. But I don't think he wore those rollerblades much later, like, years later after that. Like I say, spoke to him a few. I was that type of kid. I talked to everybody. I used to talk to everybody. I was that guy. Talk to everybody. Hit them streets and talk to everybody. Oh man. Laugh and joke with strangers all day, every day. Riding public transportation. Hustling money kind of like on some middleman crap. That's how I operated a lot of times as a young man, as a young teenager. There's another reason why I make a good president. Y'all already had somebody from Chicago, and I promise if I win, I will look much better than this. I look presidential. I could put on a suit. I just need that check from the White House. See, that's something I can guarantee as your president. I will live in the White House and I will take my job seriously. I'm president. Oh man, I'm president. Oh man, I got this. I take it seriously, learn all I can, do all I can, try my best to unite the parties. And me coming from, you know, I can't run on the ticket for either one of the major parties. Who can? You know, again, both of those parties, man, their nomination process is turned to shit. I am conservative. I do usually root for. I don't usually vote, but I usually vote for. I usually root for the Republicans and the conservative side, especially presidential politics, Senate stuff like that. So I've watched the Republican Party very closely, closer than I've watched the Democrats. I haven't watched their debates. I haven't watched a lot of stuff with the Democrats over the years. I haven't. If I'm listening to talk radio, I'm not listening to somebody that's liberal. I cross over a little bit now, like NPR or something like that. I could listen to some NPR, but I don't listen to no left wing pundits. Well, I didn't. I don't really listen to it. I listen. It's very. I watch it on YouTube these days, so it's different these days. I watch everybody. Watch Indian news sometimes, Chinese news. Definitely watch German news. That DW. Uh, anyway, yeah, I watch a little bit of everything these days, and it's different because it's online. It's information really is everywhere all day, flooded. A person like me, I'm up on it. I'm up on it. But back to the Republicans. I watched the Republicans for years, man, deteriorate. And the last time I voted was I wrote in Ron Paul when it was Mitt Romney versus George W. Bush, and I made a video encouraging others to do so, do the same. Don't vote for Mitt Romney. Don't vote for Obama. Both of them are. Obama ain't he ain't giving us the change, and he ain't. This ain't what we promised. This is not what he said. I read his books. This ain't what he was talking about, and other stuff. There's other stuff that he could have did and should have did and didn't do. So I've been making same message all this time. Conservative values. America needs conservative values bad, and now Roe versus Wade has been overturned. Republicans need to revel in that security. They need to revel in both victories. You got the Supreme Court. Roe versus Wade is overturned. You need to focus on that. Trump ain't even. Trump is not pro-life. He ain't been pro-life most of his life, and he ain't been conservative most of his life. Politically speaking, who has he always aligned himself with? Celebrities and all that, man. He's always promoted, and it's so funny he turned on Clinton. And here's something else that people miss out and don't think about a lot. His biggest accusation towards Clinton, the biggest accusation towards Clinton is you was in my pocket. You a dirty politician. I got you involved in crime. I will lock you up for that. What else has he said lock her up for? He was saying lock her up before Benghazi. And Benghazi wouldn't even make sense. Again, especially with the Supreme Court ruling that just passed. Don't make no sense. But yeah, man. That's his biggest thing. This is his biggest shot against Hillary Clinton. You crooked, and I know you crooked because I used to grease you up. I used to grease you. I used to slide you a little. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Talk about he gonna drain the swamp. He is the swamp. It's so crazy these MAGA people talk they drain the swamp stuff. You talk about these other politicians. You ain't got a fraction of dirt on any politician out there that you got on him, unless they locked away. Anybody with as much any politician, eh, he is the vision of debauchery in America. Opulence, gaudiness. You look at some of those Simpsons predictions, they thought he was gonna do this and that. Turned out he's this guy. He's MAGA man. Make America great again. Again, crime was crazy. So I mentioned the 80s and the 90s. What was going on in the 70s? Vietnam War, riots in the street, crazy riots, crazy domestic terrorist groups like the Weather Underground, democratic terrorist groups. And it was plenty in the 70s and the 60s. Bombings, assassinations, Kennedy, King, Kennedy, all these assassinations, Malcolm X, riots, crazy riots, crazy riots in the 60s and 70s. Whole country burnt coast to coast. This is the worst political season that we've ever had. That was the 60s and 70s. What was before that? The 50s, the rock and roll era, the crazy era, the birth of the automobile and automobile for every man, and drive-throughs, McDonald's, Industrial Revolution. There was a great generation financially, economically speaking, but recovering from World War II. Hey Siri, was the United States in any wars in the 1950s?
The United States was involved in the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. This answer is from trumanlibrary.gov.
Jeez, forgot about the Korean War. That's still going on to this day. Hey Siri,
Uh-huh.
how long did the Korean War last?
It started June 25th, 1950.
When did it end?
It ended July 27th, 1953.
Officially ended. Is Korea? Hey Siri,
Mhm.
is Korea currently at war?
The Korean War was never formally ended with a peace treaty, so North and South Korea are technically still at war. This answer is from alphahistory.com.
With the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. Hey Siri, what's the DMZ? Hey Siri,
Uh-huh.
what's the DMZ?
Here's some information.
Hey,
Good morning.
what is the DMZ, the demilitarized zone in Korea?
The DMZ is a demilitarized zone that divides the Korean peninsula roughly in half. This is from Wikipedia.
More. Tell me more.
Didn't get that. Could you try again?
But that's very interesting. So the 50s, we was at the Korean. Well, the Korean War started in 1950, and there was a lot of trickle over from that, and also the Vietnam War. What was the Vietnam War? Hey Siri. Same time, gotta be. Hey Siri. When was
Hmm?
the Vietnam War?
It happened from November 1st, 1955 to April 30th, 1975.
So a 20-year war. A 20-year war. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. When
Hmm?
did the United States pull out of the Vietnam War?
March 29, 1973. The last American combat troops are withdrawn from Vietnam. This is from Wikipedia.
Hey Siri.
Uh-huh.
How long did America participate and fight in the Vietnam War?
It lasted almost 20 years, with direct U.S. military involvement ending in 1973. This answer is from Wikipedia.
The good old times, huh? I think Joe Biden's a better president, more likely president to keep us out of war. Real talk. Um, Obama did kill Bin Laden. And pretty much bring an end to the war on terror. I mean, of course, it's not over, but that ended the war on terror pretty much. Um, hey Siri,
Uh-huh.
how long did the war on terror last?
In response, President George W. Bush launched the War on Terror, which included a nearly 20-year war in Afghanistan from 2001 to 2021 and the 2003 to 2011 Iraq War. This is from Wikipedia.
So $20, 20 years. So 20 years, man. The good old days. So we stopped at the 50s. What was going on in the 40s? Hey Siri,
Uh-huh.
when was World War II?
It happened from September 1st, 1939 to September 2nd, 1945.
So the 30s and 40s was World War II. Hey, when was World War One, Siri?
The 1930s, pronounced 1930s, and commonly abbreviated as the 30s or the 30s, was a decade that began on January 1st, 1930.
Hey Siri, when
Mhm.
was World War One?
It happened from July 28th, 1914 to November 11th, 1918.
Hey Siri, when was the Great Depression?
It happened from October 24th, 1929 to 1939.
So we just covered every single decade. Horrible wars, horrible wars. Oh, do we forget? It's not that we forget. We have a very uneducated population. These kids, they can know everything about their favorite social media star, their favorite Disney cartoon network channel, whatever. They can know their favorite this. They can know the whole season, beginning to the end, but they don't know who Ulysses S. Grant is. George, they don't know much about George Washington. Anything they say about George Washington is gonna sound silly. It's gonna sound something like out of a nursery story, a fable. Math and science, we're losing. That's not 100% true because I work with college kids a lot. I've been working with college kids a lot over the years, over the last few years since I moved to Austin. And some of those kids are brilliant. They have kids from all over the world. Some of those kids are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Hey Siri,
Mhm.
when was the University of Austin shooting?
Okay, I found this on the web for when was the University of Austin shooting. Check it out.
Surprised they can't tell me. So it was 50 years ago, obviously. 1966. No, that's more than 50 years ago. Man, that's almost 80 years ago. Oh, man. Oh, oh, man. So, yeah, man, people don't know history. They talk about race is so divided. This is the best decade for race relations. Hey, Siri,
Mhm.
did United States ever have racial riots?
Okay, I found this on the web for did United States ever have racial riots? Check it out.
Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. So they have a Wikipedia page called Mass Racial Violence in the United States. Oh my goodness. That's as American as apple pie. Hopefully we could get past it. But yeah, that's always been, yeah, not even thinking about all this stuff. Jeez. 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. Anti-immigrant violence all over, all throughout America's history. American Indians, white mobs against the Chinese, Catholics, Protestants, church wars, conflicts between Protestants and Catholic immigrants from Ireland and Germany in the 19th century. This got bullet points in the list. All kind of stuff between black and white. You know, the story of slavery is crazy. What they teach in school is weird. Because in real life, man, us niggas was fighting slavery this entire time, man. Racially based communal conflicts between African Americans and white Americans, which took place before the American Civil War, often in relation to attempted slave revolts, and racially based communal conflicts between African Americans and white Americans, which took place after the war in relation to tension which existed during the Reconstruction and later efforts to suppress black suffrage and Jim Crow laws. So blacks just been fighting this entire time. Fighting for our freedom this entire time. Don't believe the hype. And we should know our history. I'm afraid that African American kids, black kids, they don't know African American history like we used to. I wonder. I'm gonna test my son. As soon as I get a chance, I'm gonna test my son. See if he know. I know he didn't, man. This was one. This was one bridge of contention that we had early on in bringing him up. I was like, man, we gonna teach him this black shit, man. We gonna teach him this black shit, man. We gonna teach him this black shit. And I got upset when I found out he had never seen he had seen all these movies, and we had done everything we can to make sure he had access to whatever movie he wanted to watch, but he hadn't watched Malcolm X. And it was a time in his life I was like, man, he should have seen Malcolm X by now. I don't know he done seen all this damn Medea shit. It was a fight. It was one of them. And he was at that age, and Tyler Perry was real popular. And it was just one of those things that just set me off. Like, my boy ain't seen Malcolm X. We got to fix that. We're gonna watch Malcolm X. We're gonna watch Glory. We got to make a list. Top movies that every black boy needs to watch before while they're still children. They're brutal and they're traumatic, but you gotta know. And you need to know this stuff before puberty hits. People who try to convince young black males that racism isn't real, it's an evil, man. That's an evil. You want to teach young people this to be more comfortable. But as somebody who drove trucks for over 20 years in America, that's horrible and that's dangerous. So many of these states don't have any black people living in them. And when you drive coast to coast, you're probably going to stop in every one of these states at least once, especially if you do it for years. And if you don't teach young black males about this heartbreak before it hits, it's just going to hit them. And it might get them in trouble. The first time they run across a racist person, it often manifests itself like this, especially if you're a traveler, you're an outgoing person, you're a friendly person, young man in his early 20s, late teens, starts going to bars, clubs, hanging out, feeling freedom. I could go to this bar. I'm a grown man. You go to the wrong bar, you end up liking a girl, maybe even talking to a girl, maybe even about to leave with a girl, a white girl. You in the white area. Or it could be any race. This could happen with any race in America, even black. Even as a black person, going to people's community, depending on what part of the country from, you probably have a certain look. And if you're not where you're from, you might look out of place even as a black person. You show up around a lot of black people and they're like, why you that complexion? Why your hair look like that? Why you don't look like us? So you might even get it there. You go there, you talk to a girl, you meet a girl, you leave with a girl, and now they come out and they gonna say it with the hard R. I don't know how you get away with that on YouTube. I should be able to say it, speaking historical contents and educational purposes like this, but they hit you with the hard R N word. Near, I'll say it without the G. Near, Near, because that's how they might say it. You ain't gonna even understand them out there. You're gonna be like, I think he might have called me the N word, but I can't understand the thing that this hillbilly is saying, man. Especially your first time venturing out in the country, out there, like, hey man, who you here? Who you out here for, boy? Boy, you out here for somebody? You out here for somebody's daughter or something, boy? Who you out here making? Are you just wandering around out here? No, you ain't from around here. Where you from? Where you from? You must be from some big city or something like that, ain't you? You from nowhere around here. Are you? What the hell you say? I was a garbage man for a couple years in the country. And boy, I love the Dave Chappelle joke about skiing. He say they'd be out there skiing, and sometimes the white people would stare, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, look over there skiing. Is that is that bears skiing?" I'll be driving that garbage truck out there, and that's how they be looking at me. They be looking at me like, is a bear driving the truck? What is in that truck? What the hell? It looked like, what is that? What is that driving that truck? Hey, Rufus, Rufus, come here, man. Say, man, look at that truck over there. The garbage truck? Yeah, yeah, look through the windshield, man. What is that in that chair, man? What is that driving that vehicle, man? Is that what? Hell, I don't know. I don't know, man. I broke my glasses, Skater. I can't tell you what the. Ma, come out here real quick. You see that truck over there? What truck? That truck right there. Remind me of another comedian joke, that Cat William jokes. Do you know I can see you? This ain't a zoo. I'm at work. What is you? What hell? I don't know, but I swear that's gotta be one of them bears driving the truck. Hey, Cletus, there's a bear driving the truck. Come here real quick. And that's the thing too. I was picking up dumpsters. Most of my time as a garbage man, I was driving the truck with the robotic arm, and you just pick up dumpsters. You got to get out every now and then to move the trucks in commercial areas like restaurants and stuff. Open up the gates, roll them out to the truck, pick them up, that type of stuff. But for the most part, you could pick up 115 cans a day, and you don't get out for 100 of them. Getting out for 15 could be a lot. But so you just in that truck, and I'm not from the country, and I wasn't from the country. I had been to the country at that time. I was fresh out of prison, driving a truck in the country, in a place I ain't never lived before. And I did run across that every now and then. Somebody come up to me talking, they be talking all fast. I remember there was one time I was talking to this. I was out in the country. Most of my most of my route was like kind of suburban country. It's small town, but not that small of a town. They got everything. Got a Walmart and everything. Grocery stores, hotels, motels. It's not a small town. Well, it's a small town, but it's not a little town. It got hundreds of thousands of people in it. But sometimes I would go out in the sticks. I would actually drive over what they call cattle guards in my garbage truck. And this cow is all around the truck. And I got to watch them because they're dumb animals. And they're like, a truck? It might got food. Is it food time? Food. Somebody finna throw some corn. Somebody finna throw some hay. So a lot of times they will come to the truck. And then you got to, and then pick up at hours. You can't blow your air horn to run them off. Sometimes I'm a city boy too, from Chicago. Spent all my life in Chicago and San Antonio. Now I'm out in the country with all these white people, these scary white people. I was talking to one day. Let's finish this story. So I'm talking to this country boy one day, and my country accent's finna pick up. When you speak multiple languages, you have multiple accents, especially when you live in different places, and the vernacular and the tone is very different. Because you talk to the average person, if you talk with an accent, they should be able to figure out. But when you talk with an accent, you just don't just talk with an accent. You talk with a different language. If you have, let's say, for instance, you're from New York, you move to LA. Not only do you have an accent, you have probably thousands of words that you guys use regularly and often that are used infrequently, if ever, in Los Angeles. So if you're making that conversion, it is almost like learning another language. And to communicate with people, you might have to really focus on your enunciation, or speaking a certain dialect or getting a certain mentality. Some people call it code switching, and for some people, it is code switching. But for a lot of people, it's a form of being bilingual. And you learn it from communicating with these people, hence this story I'm telling. So I'm in the country picking up trash. And I had been doing this for a while. I had got used to it. I was very when you first become a garbage man, if you're anything like me, one of the things you really, really have to learn is how to stay clean. You can't stay clean every day because some days it rains. It's hard to stay clean. Picking up a lot of trash, it's hard to stay clean. You gonna probably get muddy, 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 and then you got to take it back there to the landfill. Muddy, muddy, muddy. Usually, you have a special pair of boots that you wear for muddy, really muddy situations. Got your little slip over boots, your waterproof boots, galoshes, or something similar to that. But as a garbage man, I'm out there and I'm in the country, and that's what it was. I had wanted to. A lot of that stuff in the country looked so damn interesting, and I was passing this country store. I passed this country store very regularly, and I was like, one day I'm gonna stop at that store. And so, because I didn't go out to the country every day, I went to the country like 2, 3 times a week, maybe 2 times, probably 2 times a week. I had the country route. But anyway, I go to this country store and I'm parked there, and this was a really small town. That's it on this street. It was like it looked like an old western town. Real talk, it looked like an old western town. Even this small country store looked like something in an old western movie. Anyway, and this was like 20 years ago or so, about 18, 17, 16 years, between 16 and 18 years ago, probably. Um, anyway, I'm talking to this guy, and we just got to conversing about all kind of stuff. And it was a reason. Yeah, it was some kind of reason. Like I had to be out there for something special, a special pickup, a special delivery, or something like that. So anyway, I'm out there and I'm hanging at the store. Maybe the truck broke down too, because I remember I was out there for a while. But anyway, we talked for a while, and it had came up about how there was no law out there. You ain't got to worry about the law out here, man. Ain't no police out here. You might be able to get your sheriff out here. And he kept saying sheriff. You might get a sheriff out here. A sheriff. And I felt bougie as hell. Because one, I'm enunciating extra hard, extra clear. Because me and this man, his English is very different from mine or anything I really heard. I heard a lot of Texas accents, but this guy had something special going on right here. And he talked real fast. And some of his words I wasn't catching, which we was expressing and talking to each other and communicating clearer and clearer as as the conversation progressed. But he kept saying "sheriff," and I got stuck on that word. And no, that day I wasn't broke down and I wasn't hanging out a long time because I remember as soon as it came up, when I finally understand what he was saying by sheriff, he kept saying you might get a sheriff out here. He was talking about a sheriff. And I remember when I finally figured it out and I said sheriff, and I'm talking to a white man. And I'm from the south side of Chicago. And I've experienced that, especially when I first moved to Texas. So many people like, huh? What? What you saying? What you mean? Why you talk like that? Stuff like that. It's very offensive, especially I was a young teenager. So it was offensive to me. And I felt like people was being funny and being racist, which you kind of are. And racism out of ignorance needs to be excused. If a person really is just being ignorant and don't know no better, you know, maybe it's a teaching moment if it's somebody that you communicate well with, worth communicating with. Most people aren't worth communicating with. And if they show any signs of ignorance and that type of ignorance that might lead to intolerance or hatred or some kind of dangerous favoritism or nepotism, we all got a little bit of racism in us, especially us as Americans, which we really need to work on because this is a very multicultural society. What if you're a fireman and you have to go into rescue it's a building on fire, so you got to go in there and rescue some children, and you go out there and just unconsciously you pick up all the children of your race, and you just like you bring out all the children of your race first, and then you start bringing out other kids, or kids die because of some stuff like that. You know, these are ethical questions that you're going to have to face in certain careers, really all careers, because you should give everybody fair treatment. If you're a firefighter, a nurse, a doctor, or a person that works at a restaurant, a waitress, a cook, a cashier, anything, a truck driver. Are you going to have racism? You done lost your brakes, your truck is out of control, you're going to hit something, and you're going to actually, you're going to let race be a factor of that? Because that makes you perform poorly. That's going to give you bad performance and bad outcome. Because in a situation like that, you need to do what's right and what's safest, what minimizes damage, period. If you have some kind of prejudice or bias or something like that, in life, you should always be working towards having more power and autonomy in your life, which means freedom. Freedom is the ultimate power that an American have. And you have your own freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of breath, freedom of thought, freedom of life. We don't really have that. We're all slaves to our environment, slaves to our conditions, slaves to our body, slaves to biology, slaves to the sun rising every day, slaves to natural causes. We have anything can happen. An asteroid could hit the earth, or a super volcano could blow up, or the powers that be, the governmental powers of all these different nations and countries might decide to fight each other and have a nuclear war. And we're gonna live with something that there's no, there's nothing preparing you for that except the Bible, something out of the book of Revelations. So I end in saying this: I don't like Trump anymore. I don't trust Trump anymore. I don't trust his judgment. I don't trust his character. And it didn't even trust. He's made it obvious that he's on some, he has a God complex, and he sees himself and his problems as the ultimate problems, and he's out for his own good. He sold out politician after politician after politician and other people. How many people have gone to Trump because Trump made a mistake? They took the fall for him, and he cut him off. It's happened several times. Michael Cohen is the latest guy with the whole case and everything, and he testifying against Trump, and he's mad. Trump let that man rot in prison, and I think Michael Cohen had a federal case. Trump could have pardoned him. Hey Siri,
Mhm.
who is Michael Cohen?
Michael Dean Cohen is an American lawyer who served as an attorney for former United States President Donald Trump from 2006 to 2018. Should I keep going?
Yes.
Cohen served as vice president of the Trump Organization and personal counsel to Trump, often being described as his fixer. Cohen served as co-president of Trump Entertainment and was a board member of the Eric Trump Foundation, a children's health charity. From 2017 to 2018, Cohen was deputy finance chairman of the Republican National Committee.
Okay, so let's look at Michael Cohen real quick. Tax evasion. So yeah, it was a federal charge. Fraud, perjury. Let me see. He wrote a book called Disloyal. So yeah, it's federal charges. United States Attorney. It's not even a state crime. Yeah, man. He got raided by the FBI. So yeah, this is 100% federal. Trump. Hey Siri,
Mhm.
why didn't Trump pardon Cohen?
I found this on the web.
That's a big question, and that's enough for another video. Please like, share, subscribe. I want to make political content. And like I say, I'll run for president. I can do the job. Look, man, I could do better than Trump and Biden. I could do better than Trump and Biden, I think. And I would, if they be advisors, I'd let them be advisors. And that's what the hell they could be at 80. What else you gonna do at 80, man? Generation X stepping to the plate. We need more Gen X's to participate in politics. The next nominee from both parties needs to be freaking Gen X. This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. People need to stand up to the Republican Party and the Democrat. If you call yourself a Democrat, you need to stand up to the Democrat Party and say no more of this. People talk about the Democrats and the lefties. Before I end this video, I do want to talk about this. Oh, did I close my camera? My screen changed. So, I want to talk about this before I finish. The Democrats, the lefties. So, one of the reasons that MAGA is so upset in the first place is because the left has gone out of its mind. It's gone outrageous. It's on attack mode. The left has had all these victories, and they're just trying to push the line further and further and further and further, and just trying to push the country further and further left. So, a lot of people are going crazy about this. You saw it with your own eyes. You're driving crazy. Just like I said earlier in this video, the left the right needs to appreciate and preserve these two major victories. The Supreme Court is stacked in the Republican favor right now. And what was the other one I said? The Supreme Court is stacked in the favor of the government right now. And what else did I say? I'm not working off notes. I'm freestyling. I just opened my laptop and decided to start talking about this. Um, that's why a lot of this is I'm off the cuff right here. But they need to focus on the Supreme Court, Roe versus Wade being overturned. I think I might have said something else, but that might be the two. But either way it go, just like I said that to the right, the left needs to chill and stop pushing so far to the left. I keep seeing people say that um, the president, the current president, Biden lost the debate. So now they're talking about replacing him. And the Democrats are talking about replacing him. And the main person I've heard Democrats say is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is way too far to the left. He will be the most left if that won't work. That won't work. Joe Biden will work. We already used to him. He's been a politician for the longest time. And Joe Biden is pretty darn center. He about as center as you're gonna get for a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Who else would you? I can't think of a Democrat that could possibly get as many votes as Joe Biden. Because at the end of the day, even if Joe Biden is old, even if he really is senile, which I don't think he's senile, he say he need more rest. He probably freaking do. The man is 80, man. Fix his itinerary, especially the Secret Service step in there, man. This man is old. This man is damn near 80. Don't have the president working so hard. Kamala should have been doing way more. Kamala should have been giving more speeches. And she needs to do that anyway. Needs to do that for the second term. And that's basically going to be her campaign. Maybe she'll run on the Democratic ticket. But the Republicans and the Democrats got to find good Generation X candidates and popular. Like both parties are, this is where both parties are absolutely out of their mind. The Republican Party is all the way to the right, and the furthest right voices right now are the loudest, most prominent voices. And it's alienating a good part of the country, probably 25% of the country. The left, same thing. The furthest left voices got the loudest voices and the biggest platforms. That's probably, I don't know if that's true. Well, it probably is true, but they temper themselves more. They don't just blurt out things that most people in the country be like, oh my God. Even most Trump supporters, if you bring up most of his policies, they're not with most of his policies. If you actually say the policy and you say exactly how he wants to implement something, They're like, well, no, and he don't really mean that. He just saying that. It's he's being metaphoric. He's speaking. But as you say, you like him for his honesty. He's blunt. So a lot of the crazy stuff, he really means it, and he might have the faculties to do it. Hell, I'd probably be more comfortable if Trump was a little senile. But Trump is as mad as a rabbit, mad as a hare, mad as a hatter. There you go. That's the saying I was looking for. He's mad as a hatter. That's a very interesting saying. It comes from the fluid that they used to use to make hats. It was basically embalming fluids. Um, and the hatters would get high off of the fumes, and it would often drive them absolutely insane. Mad as a hatter, Hatter, like a haberdasher. A haberdasher. Anyway, I would love to see Obama 2.0. An actual Obama wasn't that American. That's how and why Trump could build his whole political career off of the birther movement because Barack Obama has a very thick Hawaiian accent. That's one of the things that was always frustrating running across uh, uh, people that believed in the birther stuff early on. Because I'm not a Obama supporter, but at the same time, you like Obama was born in Africa. Now I'm thinking you racist. Why would you say Barack Obama? What about this dude is African? Does he have an African accent? Does he look like he baked an African sun? Does he look like he could handle the African sun? You know, no disrespect to Barack Obama, but that dude ain't African. He American as hell. And again, he got a thick Hawaiian accent. So you being kind of prejudiced if you hear an obvious Hawaiian accent and you somehow say, I think he African. Barack Obama Sr.'s African. He was born in Kenya. We all know that. But what about our former president, Barack Obama Jr.? Why are you saying he wasn't born in America? He was born in Hawaii, man. Again, he got a thick Hawaiian accent. He don't. The dude is clearly American. You just are probably from a homogenous American community because there are a lot of homogenous American communities. And by homogenous, hey Siri, define homogenous community. Okay, I found this on the web for define homogeneous community. Check it out. I don't say it right. I'm supposed to say homogeneous. Continue in Chrome. A homogeneous society refers to a social setting where the majority of its members share common cultural, ethnic, religious, and linguistic backgrounds. In such a society, people tend to have similar values, traditions, and beliefs, leading to a strong sense of unity and cohesion among the population. Homogeneity or genity homogeneity, 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 homogeneity. You homogeneity. And if you don't get that homogeneity, ooh, say it one more time. Let's see if I get that. Homogeneity. 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 If you don't get out of here with that homogeneity shit, I like that. Homogeneity. So, homogeneity fosters a sense of belongingness and reduces the likelihood of conflicts arising from cultural differences, which ain't really true because there's going to be inner conflicts. Like I read earlier about the conflicts in the Protestants. Um, but again, as a truck driver, I know what it's like to drive into, I'm not going to say any cities or states, But there's some states out there, man, where they gonna act like they ain't never seen a black person before. Every time they see you, every time, every time. And the thing about racism, one of the main things about racism that nobody talks about is there's good racism and bad racism. They don't talk about the good racism. But would you like some examples of good racism? Malcolm X. Didn't he make the world a better place? And he started much more racist than he ended. Towards the end of his life, he denounced racism, but he had to go through that journey to become the man that is the legend of Malcolm X. Um, I wonder how this visual effects comes off with that corner right there. But Gandhi, a lot of his racism wasn't comfortable, especially as a black man. Don't like a lot of his racism, but he served his people, and he served his people in such an impactful way that he's a hero to many people. And Martin Luther King even says he was the inspiration to, get the courage to lead the civil rights movement. And he was a character that he learned from. And that's the one thing about hate. Don't be foolish about your hate. You could hate somebody so much that you refuse to get whatever message God is trying to give you through that person or that thing or that burden or that trouble. Um, Everything in life is a gift and a curse, and a lot of things that are negative produce positive outcomes. I read about some of the world wars earlier. Hitler and the Nazis went immediately from almost taking over the entire world to not existing pretty much overnight because of the horrors of World War II. Could you imagine a world where there wasn't a force to fight and stop Hitler from his ultimate goal of exterminating swaths of ethnicities? Think about that. If Hitler exterminated all of what he considered to be Jews, if he exterminated all of them, do you think he would have stopped putting people in those ovens? You think he would have been like, oh, no more Jews, let's tear these ovens down? Or would they have still done that? Because I believe they also, hey Siri,
Hmm.
did any Jehovah Witnesses die in the gas chambers during the Holocaust?
Okay, I found this on the web for did any Jehovah's Witnesses die in the gas chambers during the Holocaust? Check it out.
See, even Siri isn't that knowledgeable. Most of these questions I've asked Siri, I was really hoping that Siri would just give me an answer like she does, like if I ask a simple question about the United States president or something like that. But this isn't something that many people look up on a very regular basis. So this is a website called Holocaust Encyclopedia or no, this is encyclopedia.com, I think. Nope, this is encyclopedia dot something else.org. I'm too unfamiliar with this website to say it like that. This is a very long article. By 1939, an estimated 6,000 witnesses, Jehovah Witnesses, including some from Austria and Czechoslovakia, were detained in prisons or camps. Others fled journey and continued their religious observance in private or ceased to observe altogether. Some witnesses were tortured in attempts to make them sign a declaration renouncing their faith, but few capitulated to this pressure because the Bible prepares you for that. The Bible prepares you for that. Was Hitler the Antichrist? I know every United States president, except for Joe Biden. I haven't actually seen it about Joe Biden, but every United States president, I've seen many theories about them being the Antichrist, and people use scriptures to kind of prove it. So it's like every single president, and like I say, you could definitely find some scriptures that point to Hitler being the Antichrist. Now, theologians, they pretty much say it was Nero, an emperor from the times, those times, from the early aughts, or whatever you want to call them, the early zero zeros, the earliest days, the first century of humanity, the first century AD. But this is a very long article, and right there it says 6,000 went to prison camp. Okay, okay. So this is further down in the article. I guess I got to read that whole dang paragraph, or it might be considered misinformation. Of the 25,000 to 30,000 Germans who in 1933 were Jehovah Witnesses, an estimated 20,000 remained active through the Nazi period. The remainder fled Germany, renounced their faith or confidence in their worship to the family. Of those remaining active, about half were convicted and sentenced to at one time or another during the Nazi era for anywhere from 1 month to 4 years, with the average being about 18 months. At least 3,000 Jehovah Witnesses were sent to concentration camps. This figure includes at least 200 to 250 Dutch, 200 Austrians, 100 Poles, and between 10 and 50 Czechs, Belgians, French, and Hungarians. I'm not seeing anything. Wait, okay. An estimated 1,000. This is the very next paragraph. Well, there is a footnote right there. But the very next paragraph is an estimated 1,000 German Jehovah Witnesses died or were murdered in concentration camps and prison during the Nazi era, as did 400 witnesses from other countries, including about 90 Austrians and 120 Dutch persons. The non German Jehovah Witnesses suffered a considerably higher percentage of deaths than their German co religionists. In addition, at least 273 Jehovah Witnesses were sentenced to death by military courts for refusing military service and were executed. So I don't think any died in the gas chamber. I didn't see it. At least I didn't see it. And that is the end of the article. So I don't think any Germans, I don't think any Jehovah Witnesses died in the concentration camps, but I do believe, well, they died in the concentration camps is what I just read, but I don't believe any of them died in the gas chambers. But I don't think that's how they killed the majority of the Jews anyway. The gas chambers, I think, were pretty new when the United States reached Germany, when the Allied forces reached Germany. Um, anyway, dump Trump, man. Dump Trump. Dump Trump, man. Dump Trump. Stormy Daniels. It was something I was going to say about Trump that I was saying that not a lot of people mention. Well, I know I said the Hillary Clinton thing. Supposedly he bribed her and he would send her to jail because he bribed her. What kind of shit is that? Like real talk. What kind of? I gotta say. I gotta emphasize the because what kind of shit is that? You gonna send her to jail because when she was a politician, you bribed her, and now you're a politician. Man, Trump. Like I say, man, he out for self. He's made it clear. He's made it clear that he's out for self, and it doesn't help that the maggots, the Make America Great Again Trump supporters, it's not good that the maggots are really just cheerleading everything he says. No matter what he says or how crazy he says it, nobody checks him. He's trying to distance himself from this Project 2025 thing, which is good, but it's also scary. What if he's bullshitting? What if he's just saying this because it's hurting the poll numbers, especially with blacks? I know a lot of black people ain't gonna be with that shit. Hey Siri,
Hmm?
what is Project 2025?
Project 2025 is a collection of conservative and right wing policy proposals from the Heritage Foundation to reshape the United States federal government and consolidate executive power should the Republican candidate win the 2024 presidential election. Want to hear more?
Yes,
It proposes reclassifying tens of thousands of federal civil service workers as political appointees in order to replace them with those who will be more willing to enact the wishes of the next Republican president.
that's insane, people. That is insane. I hope I could get my Twitter account back. I let it go when Elon Musk was like, "You don't seem like a real person. Show us your ID." Bitch, I don't like showing my ID to buy cigarettes or alcohol. I'm gonna show my ID to a website that already got too much damn information on me. You out of your. Well, plenty of people are out of their minds. The same people that complain about privacy and they don't trust the government. They don't trust the United States government with their social security number or with their taxes and stuff like that. Even though it's the United States government that provides the military and the roads that we drive on and the infrastructure and the electric, they protect the electric grid and protect everything. Even though they do all that, you don't want to trust them, but you'll pay for a blue check mark on X. The same people. A lot of them QAnon people, man. A lot of them MAGA people, man. The same ones that will pay for the check and send their address to Elon Musk and to X, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, the website formerly known as Twitter, like Prince or something. This fool bought Twitter and changed the name. He spent all that money for Twitter and changed the name. Why wouldn't you start another site, name it X, and tie it into Twitter like the websites that are tied into Twitter already? You're going to you're going to change one of the most famous brands and names in the world. You're going to throw that away and you just paid $1 billion for it or something, $2 billion for it. This is the man that you trust with your information over the government that has kept us relatively safe and secure. And as Americans, I've been on this earth since the 1900s. We've always had gas, even though there have been gas spikes and gas wars and OPEC and this and that. People act like the fuel stuff is new. Look up the fuel lines of, hey Siri,
Uh huh.
what year was the controversial gas line shortage year?
The gas shortage of 1973 to 1974 was caused by an oil embargo imposed by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. This answer is from si.edu.
So that's a college website. What is si.edu? It's an educational website. Red flag from the gasoline shortage of 1973. So they were waving flags around back then too. Ain't nothing new, man. Ain't nothing new. These pundits are doing a disservice. These news people, these news outlets, these media outlets, these media conglomerates are doing a disservice. They're doing a disservice to America. They're doing an absolute disservice to America by lying and saying that they only report the outrageous and the salacious and not the important. And social media is just as bad. No, social media is worse in that direction. Social media, you have to be more outrageous and more conspiracy theory. There are way more. Meteorology is a valid science, and it's getting better and better and better with technology and data. Meteorology is a great science. There are some great meteorology. I can't say the word right now. I need to practice. But they're great channels with real meteorologists. There are meteorologists that have YouTube channels, and they are great, especially as a truck driver. What a great none of those dudes have the views. I've never seen a meteorology channel that had the views of a flat earth channel. This is what you're programming your brain with, people. Flat earth. Are you going to learn more data and information and gain more skills watching a meteorologist talk about meteorology or somebody focusing on the flat earth theory, regurgitating documents and papers that were literally written hundreds of years ago by pseudoscientists? Pseudoscientists from hundreds of years ago. Are you going to join the space age or the stone age? Because that flat earth shit is stone age, but that's what's popular on YouTube. People wearing furry costumes and rabbit ears as they vlog. That's popular. America has lost its mind and lost its way. And technology, man, technology has us with Trump. And I don't trust Trump. I never really trusted Trump. But as a conservative, boy, if it's between Biden and Trump, boy, do I hope it's Trump. And we had Trump, and he stacked the Supreme Court. Not he's Donald Trump stacked the Supreme Court correctly in spite of himself. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. When he appointed them, I still had my Twitter. When Trump appointed, I can't remember who he. It was John Roberts. I got the email. Well, on Twitter, he sent direct messages to whatever his Twitter account sent direct messages to people like me who followed him on Twitter, and he said, "I hope you like the Supreme Court justices. I what you call it?" And I did. I was happy. I was already celebrating like John Roberts. That was a good one, man. That was a good choice, man. And I think most Americans that pay attention to that type of stuff, we all knew that we was getting somebody Republican. We knew we was getting somebody conservative. John Roberts was a great choice. John Roberts was a great choice at the time. I need to check up on him. But reading this decision to probably tell me a lot. This recent decision. And he was the Chief Justice. I think he's still the Chief Justice. Hey Siri,
Uh-huh.
who's the Chief Justice right now?
The Chief Justice of.
Hey Siri,
Hello?
who's the Chief Justice?
The answer I found is John Roberts.
I don't know why I cut this off. The first answer it was giving me. But yeah, he was the Chief Justice since 2005, since the previous justice died. Because the justices stay in there until they die. And now that's what we're going to have with the damn presidents. That's where we're at right now. That's where America has gone. Who are these people? What are these people? Chill with the Trump stuff. He's been talking crazy lately at his rallies. Like I said, I feel like I'm mimicking his hands and stuff. But I've seen him so much, and I'm sick of seeing him. And again, how the hell did the Republican Party get hijacked by MAGA? Every prominent Republican was against MAGA 4 years ago. And Trump. Well, not 4 years ago. You got to go back further than that. It's almost 8 years at this point. because we already at the next election for Biden and Trump again. Again, Americans, we need, if you have money and funds, it's time to make a new party. It's time to make a new party. Beware of Russia, though, because they try to influence our elections. They've been caught, and other countries. Intelligence believes that they have plenty of evidence that every country with the capabilities to attack us cyberly, especially the countries that aren't considered our allies, especially our official allies, very active on the espionage, the computerized espionage side of the game. And I'm speaking fast, and I'm speaking in like my native accent, my native tongue, because I'm talking to myself over here and the camera. And I know Siri clearly understands me. So, and YouTube understands me. Everything I say will be. I've been part of, been doing my thing on YouTube since 2006. So, Google understands the words that come out of my mouth. So, you could always push the closed caption button if you don't understand the words out of my mouth. I'm an American and Google understands me. If you don't understand my accent, you just don't understand my accent. And maybe it's something you could work on. I'm sick of that too. This Republican push that the white man is oppressed. I'm not with that. I'm conservative, but I don't like how that's a defining characteristic of modern day conservatives. Basically, I have to agree with the poor white, the white straight male BS. I'm a straight black male. And so usually I'm on the side of the straight white male. We usually think alike, we usually agree, we usually like the same food, the same shows, the same sports, the same clothes, shop at the same places, like the same type of beer. So we got a lot in common. And I'm conservative, so I feel the crunch from the left overbearing with all these, you know, I gotta say it, started with gay marriage. And it turned out to be a slippery slope. Gay marriage. Back then it was just LGBT. LGBT, I believe. And now it's letters that I can't even attempt to try to say. And some of those letters are unacceptable and inappropriate. Some of those letters are not appropriate. We're pushing back on the pederasty. We're pushing back on the pedophilia. We're pushing back on this very inappropriate grooming type stuff. There's no reason for somebody to dress in full drag and go read to children. Drag shows are adult entertainment. That is, everything about that is sexual in nature. These cross dressers or trans people, they don't cross dress in attire that's conservative. What if that's gonna show up on the final product? These damn Apple effects. Um, but they don't show up dressed up like librarians, the stereotypical librarian or nun. Thank goodness, because that would be so disrespectful. And that's the thing about the left. A lot of this push to the left is disrespectful. George W. Bush administration brought you civil unions, but that wasn't good enough. It had to be marriage. You got marriage. Then it had to be in churches. You got to make the churches. You can't. Churches can't discriminate against us. That's their religion, man. If a person opens a church and wants to make rules, you're supposed to have freedom of religion. Dictating what people do in their churches and their mosques and their synagogues. Why? Why? That's ridiculous. If it just has to look like a church, there could be a service for that. There could be a business behind that. We build a church, we build a set that looks like a church, pews and everything, and you had your wedding here, and we could mimic them up to the T. Something came out controversial years ago called the Gay Bible. That's blasphemous according to the religions and the scriptures, coming from somebody who studied them for years and years and years. That is not allowed. What else are you going to try to force into a religion of somebody else's? Even if you start your own cult, you start your own cult. How do you go to tinkering in other people's religions? And I know, like a lot of stuff I'm saying, those are the extreme cases and the rare cases. Not everywhere gay people are trying to have services at their local Baptist church against the pastor's will. You know, again, that's too far. I want to have a wedding just like my mother. Well, you can't. Again, get a set. And I'm not a lawmaker, but I'm an American with an opinion, and all opinions should be heard. And that opinion needs to stop being shut down and silenced. It is a little bit too much of that. Gay people have always had a very large presence on the internet, on social media, on just about any websites that's popular. The gay people seem to get there first, and they seem to set up a lot of parameters. A lot of your favorite services, especially if they're internet services, they had special sites or special genres to um, focus on that gay community because it's big, it's active, it's loud, and it's active. It's almost like an extra set of tourism. It's so much money. It's a lifestyle that you get to pay for, and you get to build all kind of brands around, merchandising around, celebrities around. That's the American way, and capitalism has too much power in America, ruining the politics. Capitalism ruining the politics, man. Ruining the politics, man. It's crazy, man. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. I'll make a news blog. I'm struggling financially, obviously, but if I could become a professional YouTuber, if I could start paying my bills with YouTube and dedicate my time to this, I will give the Americans a great product. My stuff will be non-biased. I've been saying it for years. Now, I did lean Republican. I did lean to the right. But at the same time, I've always criticized both parties. These last few years, it has been heavy criticism to the left. But again, the left has gotten outrageous. Thought policing. It's not good. That's not American. Oh, you think this and that and this and that. So what if I do? If I'm not abusing you or forcing anything on you, but that's part of this movement. What is forcing? If, look, I'm a black man. I drove trucks for a while. It's certain towns I drive through, people gonna stare at me. Not only am I black, but I'm kind of unique, built different, look different than any celebrity I've seen on TV. So I get the stares. We've tried to pass laws to curb that, but there's a couple things. First of all, good racism, bad racism. I spoke on that a little bit. As I wrap this up, let's end this on a good note. Good racism, bad racism. So, as a truck driver, one, I like to dress like this. And not dress like this, but I like to be comfortable. I was one of them truckers, inappropriate. I'll be at the truck stop in a wife beater shirt and some shorts, some sandals. And there's a lot of truckers that don't like that and they get racial about it. Why you black dudes be walking around the truck stop? Where your boots at? When you come in the truck stop, have on your boots. First of all, it's not my company policy. I don't know who you work for, but you don't work for me. You don't work with me. And even if you did, you ain't my boss. If you was a coworker, go tell it to somebody. Go tell on me. sucker, but don't tell me how to dress or walk. This is my off. If I'm in a truck stop, that means this is my off time, my break time. Get out of my face. It's basically my house, homie. I joke, I kid. But that would have been my attitude at a truck stop. If I was like on my 34-hour reset and I'm walking around the truck stop, maybe going back and forth to the shower, and some trucker coming up to me talking about, or even if I just had them on just because I had them on, it's my choice. Like I said, if my company don't have a policy against it, I ain't doing nothing illegal. Probably not even driving like that. Probably wouldn't drive. I'm sure I drove like that sometimes, but again, I know my job. Who are you to come up to me? It feels racial. What makes you think you could come up to me and demand how I dress to make you feel comfortable or whatever you're trying to feel? Get your feelings elsewhere, stranger. And that's a white privilege thing. We've come up with this term Karen because if I walked around bossing people around like that, it's a good chance I will get arrested or shot. Real talk. Could you imagine me going from town to town as a trucker? Hey, you need to pull your skirt up. Hey, you need to. Some woman got arrested for she did something to a woman like she reached inside a woman's dress and fixed her clothes so that she wasn't revealing as much as she was, and she got like a serious assault charge. But this times is changing, and that's what should happen. Everybody talks about freedom. Well, give freedom to other people. These main people who defend the January 6th people, the people at work didn't have freedom to be at work. Mike Pence didn't have a had a freedom to not make a decision at work doing his job that he's trained for and qualified for as vice president. He don't have the freedom to not have a mob tell him come, hey, you're doing your job wrong. We're going to hang you. And people minimize that. People on the right minimize that. Oh, they weren't hung him. We almost saw a live televised lynching. We possibly saw a lynching of a political official. And people, supposedly normal people, are minimizing that. Even on my one of my videos I uploaded the other day, somebody was in the comments, you lost me with the January 16. I said what I got to say. You justify that however you want to justify it, but you sound insane to me. January 6th was no big deal. I hope that do show up in the final cut of this video. Because that's perfect timing. That's all I gotta do is that. It's the Apple effects I'm looking at. You do certain hand gestures and the camera would do something. I know thumbs up would do something. There we go. So yeah, USA man. USA man. 4th of July just passed. And Trump is at these rallies playing the choir, the J6 choir. Again, this movement is going too far, man. The writing is on the wall. Don't vote for Trump, man. You vote for Trump, some crazy shit. He get up there and do some crazy shit. It's on you. It's on you. If Trump loses and you do some crazy riot stuff, it's on you. Trying to kill the country because your candidate didn't want. You know, in my whole life, all the presidents got protested. When Bush won his elections, oh man, there was a lot of protest. And then when the war started, oh, there was a lot of protest. September 11th is the only thing that chilled those protests out. But when Bush won, protest. When Obama won, protest. When when Reagan won, protest. When the other Bush won, protest. When Clinton won, protest. And you know, even as a little boy, because I paid attention to that type of stuff, and it was like, even as a little boy, it was like, man, this is not sustainable. They do this every single election. And now it's escalated. It ain't just protest. It ain't just the pink pussy hats. Again, the pink pussy hats was outrageous and ridiculous. That was outrageous and ridiculous. When Trump won, the pink pussy hats was crazy. But it wasn't January 6th. That was insane. Hang Mike Pence. Hang the vice president of the United States. Hang the vice president. They was trying to hang your own party member, and it's no big deal. And we saw this on TV. Children saw it on TV that day. That was this generation's 9/11. And so many people minimize it. Say what you want to say, but that's what freaked kids out that day. That's what freaked children out that day. And again, the Black Lives Matter, you can explain that to your kids. We watched a man die on camera. That's going viral. You're probably seeing it with your friends. And those people are mad about the cops killing that dude over a counterfeit $20 bill. Judge, jury, and execution on the streets. They're protesting that. How do you explain January 6th? Not even the day after the election. The dust ain't settled. Ain't no time for a recount. And these people already up in the, and then they all walk through the front doors. It wasn't people climbing up walls. It wasn't lunatics with rifles, automatic rifles, multi-clip rifles with grappling hooks, throwing grappling hooks up there. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Everybody went through the front door. It wasn't a dude with a Viking hat running around screaming. There wasn't a mob searching for Mike Pence, screaming, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence didn't nearly escape the mob. That's what he says. That's what his wife says. That's what his family says. The Secret Service took it seriously, as they should have, because there was a mob that broke into the Capitol while they were working and went after the politicians in there to do what were they going to do if they caught them? The Secret Service, the security admin, they did so much to save those senators and those congressmen. What would have happened if the mob would have got a hold of a politician? I mean, I think there were politicians in the crowd playing with the crowd, talking with the crowd. The MAGA politicians, I don't really know. But what would have happened if they got to the chamber while those people's in there? What would we have seen on television that day? What are we gonna see in a few months from now? What are we gonna see this upcoming January? So I'm imploring, please like and share, subscribe to this video. He'll even cut it up and remix that part, your favorite part. But man, wake up, wake up, wake up, America. Like I say, Robert Kennedy, man. I got a buddy that I was working with before I lost my job, but we talk politics all the time. And my job was pretty darn conservative. I'm a truck driver in Texas. I was delivering cement. I'm pretty conservative. All of my fellow truck drivers are conservative, even if you're black. If you're black and you drive a damn truck every day, a damn 18 wheel every day, you're probably pretty conservative. Especially a local day cab in the heat, dealing with all these people on the highway who think the highway is theirs, and you got to deal with them in rush hour where they steady sneaking in. Anyway, when he first brought up Robert Kennedy, I wouldn't even talk to him about it. Like I said, we talk politics all day, every day. And he was already trying to get me to, because I was already like, man, I'm done with Trump. I'm done with MAGA. And that's usually what the conversation was. And I had that conversation with him. I enjoyed it. One, he's going to fill me in on a lot of the politics stuff that I had stopped paying attention to at the time. And we had great conversations about politics. But I remember he was like, well, you ain't going to vote for Trump, man. At least vote for Robert Kennedy. And no, he was saying something like, if Trump gets out of there, we're thinking about Robert Kennedy, like them. He wanted them. He wanted them. He wanted the maggots, man. And he ain't that bad. He ain't a bad maggot. He ain't gonna paint his face or get a flag and drive away across the country. He ain't gonna do no. I don't think he'll do no crazy shit like what the J6 hostages did. But so funny, man. The right do have so much to say about thuggish behavior in brown people, even politicians sometimes. Even politicians giving them a taste of their own medicine. They yelling, hooping and hollering, and the politician will raise it back. If it's a minority, they might call them a thug. But thuggish behavior like this, breaking into the Capitol, but that's not even thuggish behavior, man. That is levels beyond that. That's levels beyond that. These fools is really trying to throw a different flag in America and change America. We got our problems, man, but not like that. So that's it for this first blog with this computer, man. I don't even know what I'm gonna call this, man. I talked about a little bit of everything, but I did get those main thoughts I want to get out. So I'm gonna try to watch this. If it's watchable, I will upload it.